This video is sponsored by Roman. What's up, freaks? We're gonna react to the best exercise for old man strength, and we're gonna start right now. So Ben Patrick, AKA Knees Over Toes Guy, was on the Joe Rogan Experience talking about knee health and talking about all the different things that you can do to improve the stability, the functionality, the integrity of your knees. And I think that a lot of older guys, and not just older dudes, people in general that are involved in resistance-based training and strength-based training always tend to have some type of knee pain. One of the big things with Ben Patrick is that he really goes into all the different things that he's done to help with his own knee problems from his past, playing basketball, playing other sports that have led to knee issues. And now he's got a lot of those big answers because of trial and error. So let's see what he has to say.
Yep. Your exercises have 100% made my knee stronger. Well, 100%.
I appreciate that.
It's really amazing.
So with those kicks, and a lot of people out there can relate because it's something you want to do. It's not like that's the healthiest thing for your knee to go with this. I mean, the amount of torque is probably like in the thousands of pounds every time you throw out a kick if you add all that force. And it's the same with jumping. Playing basketball is not good for your knees,
right?
But I want to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's where the sled comes in because.
Okay, so that's like a big factor here is that a lot of us want to do things that aren't good for our knees. So Ben's talking about leg kicks for Rogan, who likes to train MMA style training. Ben's talking about himself personally, likes to dunk and land, and there's a lot of force on the knees when you land. And the thing is, as you get older, that force just continues. It's this chronic buildup over time that can lead to a whole bunch of issues inside of your knee joint. And so that's when he brings in some of these different exercises.
Every step that you're going backward, you're strengthening your knee. But there's a fundamental difference between the sled and any other exercise that I do. The difference is that only you move the sled. So the sled never moves you. When you do squats or anything like that, you're taking some degree of risk. The weight is going to move you down, and then you're going to move it back. So last time I was in LA, I'm on the roof of my...
Pulling the sled backwards and that moving the sled backwards is one of the best things for his knee health. And he's talking about how the sled can never be moved unless the individual is moving it. Whereas if you're doing a back squat, the bar will move you.
Apartment, and I have one of those internal resistance sleds up there. And my neighbor's 82, and he wants to join me for a workout. He doesn't know who I am. I can instantly put him on a sled. And this is an internal resistance one that you can push and you can go backwards.
I've seen that one.
Yeah, if you pull up my Instagram, I put so that anyone listening can get the world's fastest education, meaning I made for the podcast. I spent the last week preparing 6 posts in order. So let's go to that one on the top left. The current human exercise fundamental is walking forward with a machine doing the work for you, a treadmill.
Yeah.
Okay? It should be the human doing the work. Even pushing a sled would be so much better. You can put an older person on pushing a sled. Only they move the sled, so you don't have the with a squat or something like that, there's a lot more chance of injury.
Right.
But we want those effects of a squat. But for example, I go 6 days a week I sled, and 1 day a week I squat. You see the difference there?
Is that what you do?
6 days. Every workout I sled first.
Really?
It doesn't matter if it's upper body. I sled first.
So is that?
I think one of the interesting parts here is I remember Christian Thibodeau talking about this, and I think Poliquin earlier, like mid-2000s, like 2012, 2013, was even talking about stuff like this, where basically when you're pushing or pulling a sled, it's essentially, it's like eccentric-less. There's still some eccentric loading, but it's minimal. And that's where a lot of people, when you're doing the eccentric, as you age, now here's the point of clarity has to be, eccentric motion can lead to incredible amounts of strength improvements, incredible amounts of neurological adaptation, which improves coordination, which then leads to, while you're moving weight. If you're an athlete, eccentric training is phenomenal. If you're growing up and you're starting to get more coordinated, the eccentric movements are phenomenal. As you age, they can lead to some chronic issues, chronic scar tissue over time. So it's interesting because it is accurate. Now, the other weird part behind eccentric-based training is that eccentric training can improve tendinopathy. So if I have like a wrist problem or something, and I go to pick up a cast iron pan and my wrist hurts, I can do really, really slow 10 to 15 second controlled eccentrics, and that can actually help with my tendon strength. But if I'm doing really fast eccentric loading or something like that, where there's a really quick reaction, over time, by the time you're 35, 40 years old, that can lead to a lot of stress on your body. So it's finding look, the sled work is essentially eccentricless, which helps strengthen your body in coordination and improves blood flow to specific regions without really banging up your body. So it is awesome.
That's how I warm up, but it gets my cardio in. If you go right to the second post, someone can see exactly the benefits I'm talking about. You actually get
He went on Joe Rogan and he had 6 posts fully prepared, so just in case this conversation happened, he could roll through it. It's so awesome. I'm so jealous.
For sure.
Okay. And so I think most of us humans, we're missing training our feet.
Yeah, I would agree with that too.
Right. So right off the bat, and you were mentioning Louis Simmons and the reverse hyper and how it's how you can rebuild it back. When you push a sled, you get a very similar effect because you're not loading your spine.
Right.
So pushing a sled and then going backward at least as much. So I do more backward than I do forward, but I sled every day. So every time I work out, the first thing I do is I sled.
No kidding, because I've only been doing it once a week, and I've been thinking, I don't want to overdo this.
And that's what's interesting is that it's
Okay, so that is actually, so Rogan says, he's only doing it once a week. I do think that as we're getting older, we should be hitting this, a sled push, pull, side sled drives, because that's going to help with your ankles. And they're even talking about foot strengthening. We talk about that quite a bit with PVC pipe walks and stability around those areas. So I'm going to start doing it 5 days a week. I do it about twice a week. But again, Ben's even talking about the cardio aspect and how it can help your heart functionality. So we're going to go downstairs, see how it feels, see exactly what I feel. Will I feel this in my knees? Will I feel this in my quads? Will I feel it in my ankles? And then how can that transfer over to old man strength? Let's be honest, guys. As we get older, our bodies don't always want to cooperate with us. And that's not just in the gym. That's also in the bedroom. When it comes to intimacy, we all want to feel confident. But for a lot of guys out there, erectile dysfunction gets in the way. This issue affects people differently, but is actually something that over 52% of men will experience. More men experience ED than don't. Guys, if this sounds familiar, and this is something that you've dealt with, I recommend checking out today's video sponsor, Roman. Roman can connect you directly with a licensed U.S. healthcare professional for a free telehealth consultation from the privacy of your own home. If appropriate, the provider will find the treatment that is right for you and prescribe effective medication. The entire process is super easy to figure out. So if you think this is something that will help you, you can head to getroman.com/garage strength to complete your free consultation and find out if this is the right treatment for you. And by using our link, you will get $15 off your first month of ED treatment directly from Roman. Again, that's getroman.com/garage strength. Now, let's head downstairs and start pulling some sleds. I think one of the best aspects behind this style of one, it's knee health training, but also somewhat endurance-based training is that it's not horrible. It's not one of those workouts where you're I don't want to do this. It's like a lazy man's workout. It's all right, I can do it. I'll set a timer. I'll get at least 10 minutes of good movement in. I'll get a really good quad pump, even a little bit at my glutes. I can sort of change the angle if I want to go here, play around with it, come more upright so I lean a little more into it. But I think the biggest thing is that someone like me who's always had this life, the small quad life, my quads have never gotten as pumped as they do from this. And then it's you know, walking backwards, big here, big drive. It feels really good on the knees. Feels really good on the top of my knee. Gets my heart rate up. So listen to Ben talk about this and how important it can be, how easy it is. I'm trying to think about, okay, if you don't have access to a gym like this, where you have a sled, you know, I'm thinking about back in the day at the old garage, we actually used to push the sled out on the road. So you could even do that, you know. You're in a development, go outside, walk back and forth, 10 to 20 minutes. Your knees are gonna feel better. You're gonna feel stronger, you're gonna feel healthier, and you're gonna feel a lot better when you wake up in the morning and you're walking down those steps. So, is walking backwards with this sled the best exercise for old man strength? I would argue, yes, but pair that with sled push as well. You're gonna feel good. You're gonna get good leg strength. You're gonna get good leg drive. Your endurance is gonna go up from the cardio aspect. Knee health is gonna improve. And those are all areas that old dudes need to constantly work on. And also thinking about being healthier, having more lean muscle mass. If your total daily energy intake or energy expenditure is here, the whole goal is that we've got to keep that intake a little bit lower. And moving heavy weight helps meathead old guys stay healthy, increase their cardio, and burn more calories, which ultimately, hopefully, will lead to a longer life. Get yourself a sled, figure out some way, and if you can't even have a sled, walk up a hill backwards, figure out a way to get a massive quad pump, strengthen those knees, get your heart rate up, try and keep the caloric intake a little bit lower. And if you need help as an old dude, you want to stay strong and be healthy, pick up the Old Man Strength program. You can click on the link down below, head over to garagestrength.com. Until next time, freaks, cultivate your power. Peace.